Her name is Elica Lebon, the one you're seeing. That woman, she is an attorney. She is based in US. She is a British Iranian. She is getting completely eviscerated by Dave Smith. Take a listen.
Very similar to yours. I thought there were a lot of reasonable things said up until that point. But of course, I think this isn't that uncommon. Regimes and supporters of regimes are often guilty of just the most outrageous hypocrisy. And you think of historical examples like Joseph Stalin used to put out propaganda about how horribly racist America was and how Jim Crow was terrible and they treated the black people so terrible in the United States of America, which like it was true. But what a hypocrite for Joseph Stalin to be pretending like he was concerned with human rights as he, oversaw the gulags and stuff like that. And so I think, listen, the claim that Hamas and Hezbollah have never engaged in terrorism is just ridiculous and stupid. And, but then again, I would say, I also think the claim that the IDF has never engaged in terrorism is kind of equally ridiculous. And so, it is in a sense, the hypocrisy of all of the regimes allows somebody like that to point out your hypocrisy, to say, oh yeah, Piers, well, you're criticizing Iran, saying that they're a state sponsor of terrorism as a citizen of a government that is sponsoring Israel's destruction of Gaza. And, so again, there's awful, all of this is just horrible. And there's awful hypocrisy all around. I think there were some fair points that he made in there, but yeah, I mean, listen, October 7th, and even if you want to go with the idea that there was friendly fire or even some type of like Hannibal directive issued, there's been people who have done deep dives into this, and there is some evidence that some people died that way, but there's just no question that Hamas crossed the border and killed a lot of innocent people. And as I've been saying to you since I've been on your show, Piers, I just think it's horrible when people downplay that, and it does nothing but undercut their.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if all you.
Well, see, the thing is, again, Piers Morgan was called out by Dave Smith. He had some absolute tremendous points when Dave Smith was pointing out that yes, some people are bad, but what about you? You are no better than them, so you're not in a position to give us any morality lecture like this Elica girl. She's doing here, but then she's getting shut up by Dave Smith. Let's take a listen more.
You asked this exact question, which is exactly what a demoralized person would ask. How is this different to that? How is Israel doing this different to that? Now, let me just start by saying,
hold on. This is like a basic IQ test. I could say, how is this act different from this act? That's not saying how is this entity identical to this other entity. The point is that targeting innocent. Sure.
This it's exactly like saying, how is it different between a cop and a robber when they're both pointing guns at each other and they're both making each other feel threatened? Isn't that the exact same thing? Yes, sure, it is the exact same act, but it is a different motivation. Okay, that's what the difference is. Because when you have a regime like the Islamic Republic or Hamas, that's literal inception and existence is based on the destruction of Israel and death to America, and basically just killing everybody who disagrees with their ideology, and another entity whose focus...
Okay, so basically she's comparing Israel with the cop and Hamas or the resistance forces as the robber. Okay, so, and she's basically saying that who pointed a gun to whom, even though both of them are pointing a gun to each other, but one is cop, one is robber. Who pointed a gun in 1947? Was it the Palestinian people? No. They did not have any arm. They did not have any weapon to defend themselves. It was just the Zionist state of Israel who were pointing gun at the Palestinians. And that situation, would you be able to tell that, the Zionist...
My work is easy because I use...
the Zionist forces, they were playing the good cop, bad cop, or would you admit that they took over that land and that's when it all started? Don't give us this kind of morality lecture where you're comparing one party with cop, another party with a robber. Unbelievable, but this is what Zionists they do.
Bombardments of people who are desperately lining up to get food. Now, they are dying, it seems very mysteriously. The IDF says we shot in the air as warnings. Sometimes they use other language, which means they may have shot towards people they saw as a threat, or they are now investigating what happened. I read out earlier in a previous debate about this, all the different times this has happened in the last 6 weeks. It's endless. And the idea that the IDF are not killing people in this way, when everybody else involved says they are, is ridiculous. So the point I think Dave is making, quite straightforwardly, is that what the IDF's been doing in the last 3 months, to me, crosses any line of self-defense and could absolutely be categorized as terrorizing the innocent people of Gaza. Now, it doesn't mean they're not in their heads going, they're going after Hamas. Their motivation is, we want to kill the bad guys. But they have lost all sense of proportion, and they are now behaving in a way that if other people were doing it to them, they would categorize as terrorism.
Okay, so let me just answer
these IDF terrorist forces, they have killed at least 857 innocent civilians close to the aid convoy or the aid points. And the number is just growing, is climbing up and up. But here you have Piers Morgan. I think he should be stronger in his language. The way he's describing this whole situation was as if IDF was doing it because they were afraid of Hamas. No, they kill innocent Palestinians because they think it is fun to do so. So Piers Morgan, no, they're not doing it because of Hamas's motivation. They might come and they're the bad guy. But it is because it is a pleasure for the Zionist entity to kill Palestinians simply because they don't see the Palestinians as human beings.
Each other. Elica, let Dave respond, and then you respond to him.
I listened to the garbage you had to say.
Let him respond, then you reply.
Let me get in now.
But I didn't say no response.
All right, but stop talking.
Lady, let me just save you all the time in this debate. You wanted to debate me because I'm so wrong about everything and I'm so influential and you wanted to smack it down. It ain't going to be you, lady. You're not the one who's going to stop me. This is just ridiculous.
It's lady. You're
okay.
pathetic.
I'll call you whatever. Oh, okay. Good one. Oh yeah, you really smacked down my bad ideas. Anyway, Piers, again, all they have.
You're too stupid to realize it. You're too stupid to realize how bad your ideas are.
There you go. That's the argument you got. Anyway,
see how they behave. People calling people stupid, like on TV. You calling Dave Smith stupid just because you cannot win an argument with him. Pathetic Zionist, pathetic.
Can I talk now?
Sure.
Okay. So Piers, as always, it's just the same thing on repeat here, right? So the defense is to go, but look, the motivation of Israel is pure. The motivation of everybody else is evil. Even though obviously what Israel is doing is objectively torturing women and children to death as they die with their bones crushed under rubble. But also, Piers, don't let it mess with you that at the highest levels of the Israeli government, they've kind of told you what their motivations are here. I mean, exactly. the South African case that they brought to the International Court of Justice was like 90% just direct quotes from Israeli leaders. The prime minister himself referred to them as Amalek when talking to the military. You got the finance minister, the defense minister bragging about how nobody's getting any food for a 3-month period, bragging that not 1 ounce of grain will get into Gaza. I mean, I'm sorry. This is obviously terrorism. It borders on genocide. It's horrifically wrong. And for you to use your example of saying like, oh, this is what I'm saying is that a guy who robs a store and a cop who comes to stop them are committing the same act because they're pointing a gun at each other. Yeah, but of course, in that example, right. But in that, no, that's what you said. That's what you said about my point. And it was really dumb. Because in that example, there aren't innocent people being slaughtered. Yeah,
and
it kind of is.
If there were, it would still be different. Okay.
Good job, Dave Smith, calling this dumb, because this is what she is. She's dumb. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
So Elica, let me ask you a question, which is this. Are you comfortable with everything that Israel's done in the last 3 months?
No, I've always said that there should be dual criticism.
Yeah, dual criticism. I mean, one party is committing genocide. You want to have a fair criticism in this situation. No, the situation is out of control. Israel must be punished, held accountable. This is what the discussion should be about, not dual criticism.
To anything like this in this way before? Why is Gaza? And then you had the Smodrich quotes, Elica, where he brazenly talks now last week on camera that the plan now is to cleanse Gaza of Palestinians. That is ethnic cleansing. That is a war crime.
That's obviously wrong. That's
Obviously wrong. No, you read it wrong. We do not know how to read newspapers these days anymore, according to the Zionist, Elica. But we do. We can hear it loud and clear what Smotrich is saying. Bezalel Smotrich. We can hear it loud and clear what the defense minister, lunatic Ben Gvir, is saying. But yeah, hey guys, we are all dumb. We don't understand. We cannot read, write, or even process anything coming from the mouth of the Zionist ministers.
Saying there, Piers, that like, well, you know, everybody serves in the IDF in Israel, and therefore we really just got to go after everybody because you never know who here might be one of our oppressors or something like that. It's all just ridiculous logic. And look, there's the what is the intention of an ethnic cleansing campaign? Is that an unintended consequence as Israel is floating this out? Huh?
It's not an ethnic cleansing campaign. This is
No,
just regurgitating
no.
buzzwords. But I clearly
No.
said
Hold on. Listen, this is what just so wait. No, I'm not regurgitating buzzwords. I'm talking about what one of the most powerful people at the absolute top of the Israeli government, their finance minister, said. Look, the Palestinians in Gaza in the West Bank are there largely because they were ethnically cleansed out of where they were living for generations before that. So no, I'm sorry. It's just what's ridiculous.
What are you talking about? Ethnic cleanse?
I mean, David Smith should use maybe a different word other than calling her dumb, because she's more than dumb. I don't know what else we have in the dictionary for the vocabulary, but she definitely has crossed the line of being dumb. She is more than that.
To 60% in rapid time. And they were hiding information, they were obfuscating, they weren't allowing proper, full, transparent inspections and so on. You know, is there really anything ideological on putting aside Gaza, putting aside everything else, purely on the apparently imminent threat? And by imminent, I mean in the next few months, that the Iranians would have had an ability to weaponize their uranium quite quickly to 90% and potentially create up to 10 nuclear bombs.
Yeah, we will not talk about Iran issue because the pressing issue today is Gaza, what is happening there. We'll not talk about Iran issue because we know that Iran cannot be harmed the way Zionists dreamed about. The Iran cannot be destroyed. They're much stronger as a nation, but we have to care for those who are oppressed, who are defenseless, women and children in this case, from Gaza. Subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.